Hello and welcome back to Storytime with Eric Zimmer. Where we last left off in the Mighty Dozen, we met the villainous General Henderson, who intends to lock the Mighty Nine, except for James, away for life. After arguing about whose fault it was, they all realize that all of them are to blame for not listening to James. But they decide to take his advice after all. Since they're stuck there, they will be practicing their superpowers. James may not have a power of his own, but he, Eddie, Peter, and Clara are now working to save them. Let's see what happens. And if James does have a superpower after all, we shall see. So you ready? Alright, let's begin. Chapter 10. James's Monstrous Transformation. Aha! Now, of course, you're wondering about James along with Eddie, Peter, and Clara, and wondering when I would get back to them. Well, that time has come. Before heading back to his house, James asked Eddie to go to the public library and find any book on radioactivity. As for Peter and Clara, they helped James clean up the mess in his house, as well as replace the sliding glass door with screen doors so that no mosquitoes or other animals could get in. When he asked them where their luggage was, Peter and Clara showed James all their belongings in the canoe attached to the camp bus. Naturally, James was quite surprised that neither he nor any of the others realized something was amiss. After they had finished cleaning up, they went into the kitchen for some ice-cold water when Eddie returned, carrying a number of books, all of which had the word radioactive in their titles. He slammed them onto the kitchen counter and slumped into a chair in exhaustion. "I managed to check out every book on radioactivity I could find at the library, Jimmy," he said, panting. "Good work, Eddie," said James, handing him a tall glass of ice-cold water. "Well, these books were bound to find a way to counteract our superpowers and create an antidote. How long will it take to make the antidote?" asked Peter. "That remains to be seen, but it shouldn't take too long. Actually, the big question is, what exactly we'll need to create such an antidote? We'll need every single ingredient we can find, which will be your job, all three of you. While you do that, I'll be in the game room where our computer database is to crack the mutant gene. But first I'm going to get changed. I'm roasting in this superhero costume." After James went to his bedroom, Clara moved to the far end of the living room, beckoning for Peter and Eddie to follow her. "What is it, Clara?" Peter asked. "Is it just me, or do you guys think this is going to take more than a day to crack?" Clara whispered. "What makes you say that?" Eddie asked. "I have a feeling this may take a few days, and Jimmy probably won't sleep until the antidote is finished. And if that's the case, he might crack under pressure from the lack of sleep." Clara paused to hear if James was coming back or not. "I think it would be best if one of us kept an eye on him at all times. We'll take turns and shifts so that this way we can all get some sleep ourselves." "Great idea," whispered Eddie, "but we'll need a backup plan in the likely event that he does crack," whispered Peter. "Don't worry," smiled Clara. "I've got an idea." "Hey, what's going on out there, you guys?" "Nothing," said Peter. Peter said quickly. "We're okay, Jimmy. Can we talk to you for a minute?" asked Clara. "I'm in my room, and yes, and I have clothes on." Eddie, Peter, and Clara all smiled and winked at each other, and then walked down the hall to James's room. In James's room, his superhero costume was hanging on a hanger on the closet door, and James himself was laying down contently on his bed. He was now wearing underwear, obviously, and baggy blue sweatpants, but no shirt, not even a tank top. Of course, Clara had a hard time trying not to squeal with delight upon seeing James's muscular upper body, but Eddie, Peter elbowed her in the waist so that she didn't do so. The three of them sat on the bed and gathered around James. "Is something wrong, Clara?" asked James. "Not with any of us, no," said Clara uneasily. "It's just... well, you said you're not sure how long it will take to finish the antidote, right?" "I did." "Well, obviously this won't be a one-man job if you're asking us to help you." "Clara, what are you getting at?" "We just thought maybe it would be best if one of us was by your side to assist you at all times," interjected Peter. "We've decided that while you create the antidote at night, one will stay awake and the other two will sleep," said Clara. "Well, thank you, guys," said James, smiling appreciatively. "That's actually very thoughtful of you." "Well, like I've said before," said Peter, "we're more than happy to assist you." "Just out of curiosity," said Eddie, noticing a photo album, Are all these pictures of you and Carly?" "In that album, yes," said James, "but I have plenty of my camp friends, high school friends, and my family. You sure do a lot together, said Clara as she, Peter, and Eddie flipped through the James and Carly photo album. We've practically been a couple since 8th grade, said James, blushing slightly. Are you two going to get married? Asked Peter. Clara threw a surprised look at her brother, and James blushed deeper than ever, but he was smiling as he did so. Well, we haven't talked about it yet, he admitted at last, but if we did, we'd wait a few more years, especially since we'll be moving back to Burbank this summer. We miss our families and high school friends too much. Sorry I asked about you two marrying, said Peter sheepishly. Peter, it's okay, said James reassuringly. And to be honest, I really do think Carly is the right one for me. How romantic, said Clara dreamily. What do you love most about her? Asked Eddie. James found himself blushing deeper than ever as a dreamy look spread across his face. Everything, he said dreamily. Not only is she a natural beauty, but she also has a knack for making everything she wears look beautiful on her, no matter how ugly the outfit is. Anything and everything goes with her smoking hot, sexy, slender, attractive body. But of course, looks are not the only thing that I love. Carly has always tried to be as cheerful, sweet, perky, and optimistic as possible. She's just an absolute sweetheart to children, animals, especially dogs, just like I am. We're both huge dog lovers. And to most people in general. And the way we cuddle each other is so mesmerizing, I can't even describe it in words. But one thing is sure. If there was any young lady could spend the rest of my life with, it would be Catherine Eleanor Nordberg. James sighed heavily as he laid down on his bed. He initially didn't notice Eddie, Peter, and Clara staring in astonishment at him and at each other. When James finally did notice their reactions, he chuckled. You'll understand someday, he said reassuringly. All three of them could just smile sheepishly and laugh in embarrassment. James then remembered what was afoot. All right, he said briskly, I'm going to get started in the game room. Meanwhile, can one of you order a pizza? Of course, said Eddie at once. What toppings do you want? Extra pepperoni on my slices, please. I'll call, said Peter. And how about some garlic knots to go with the pizza, Jimmy? Splendid idea, Peter, said James approvingly. I love your way of thinking. He reached into his wallet and gave Peter a $20 bill. Now, if you guys need anything, I'll be in the game room. And since you'll all be sleeping here, Peter, you can sleep in my room. Eddie, you can take the single guest room. And Clara, you can sleep in Carly's room. Excellent, said Clara, rubbing her hands together. All right, said James, I'm going to the game room. You guys can watch TV if you want when you're not needed right away. Be sure to bring the pizza when it comes, and we'll eat in the game room. The kids all cheered excitedly and went to the living room. While Peter called the local pizzeria, Eddie and Clara settled down to watch some TV. As they did so, Eddie noticed the backyard pool from the observation deck. Hey, Jimmy, he said, if the weather's nice, do you think we can swim in the pool one of these days? I don't see why not, said James. Okay, I'll be in the game room. Okay, said the kids. As James went down the hall, he stopped to get something in Carly's room. When he came out, he was carrying the box of cigars along with her lighter and cutter. Then he headed down the stairs to the game room. As it so happened, the antidote was found in one of the books, but creating it would take a few days, and as they needed a number of ingredients, some of which were not available at any supermarket. Meanwhile, back in Area 86, the rest of the team was practicing their superpowers all day and well into the night. It didn't always go smoothly. In fact, because of a few near misses that could have led to disaster, Henderson ordered more guards to patrol the dome room. And each day the guards became more confused and uneasy with what was going on right before their eyes. Meanwhile, Henderson was in his office reading the paper one morning while sipping his coffee. The front page detailed about the capture of the Mighty Nine, excluding James Reitherman, of course. And as Henderson read on, he remembered the mayor of Reno talking about the meteor that crashed at Pyramid Lake. Smiling smugly, Henderson opened a drawer in his desk and pulled out a piece of paper that looked like a handwritten document of some kind. If you must know, Henderson was a ruthless general who wanted more power. He wanted to turn the state of Nevada into a military state and eventually take over the entire nation. And if you're wondering why this made him so ruthless, it's because at the very bottom of his evil plan it said, "Annihilate anybody who gets in my way." Henderson added to the plan, including the Mighty Nine and their leader, James Reitherman. Chuckling sinisterly to himself, Henderson put the plan away in his drawer and went back to his coffee and newspaper. 3 days later, James was at the computer database, typing away into the night as he did a submolecular scan for the antidote. He was wearing his superhero outfit again because it was windy all day and he was freezing a little. Plus, the AC and ventilation was on full blast as James was smoking cigars as he worked and needed the ventilation to filter out the smoke. Although Eddie, Peter, and Clara didn't mind him smoking as long as he had the filter on, Clara insisted that James not to smoke when she was the one assisting him. After 3 days, James had barely slept, did not shower once, had bloodshot eyes, and his stomach was growling with hunger excessively despite being brought his meals each day by the 3 kids. Although he managed not to crack, the kids were afraid James was going to do so any time now. As a matter of fact, the kids were so anxious about James that they didn't completely clean up the game room when they ate their meals. Although all the food was cleaned up and the plates were put in the dishwasher, Eddie and Peter also emptied James's ashtray each night. There were Pepsi and Coca-Cola cans all over the floor, as well as a number of used sugar packets for James's coffee. Although James preferred hot chocolate with breakfast, just like his grandfather William, he switched to coffee temporarily so he could stay awake while he created the superpower antidote, and there was a large mug of it by his side. Anyways, by the 4th night, James was working harder than ever. As for now, they had collected all but one of the ingredients needed for the antidote, as evident as to all but one of the items on the list being checked off. Most of the ingredients were sodas that they got at the supermarket, but the most important ingredient to mix it all up was not sold in most stores. Tonight, Eddie, Peter, and Clara, who were drinking root beer, cherry coke, and orange soda respectively, all decided to watch James since he was on the verge of completing the antidote. However, they also looked really worried as they sipped their drinks and watched James working away tirelessly. "I'm really getting worried about Jimmy," said Clara. "Yeah, man, the dude really needs some serious sleep," agreed Eddie. "He can't, and he won't," said Peter firmly. "We only need one more ingredient for the antidote, and he's not going to stop until he finds out what it is." "Petey, he's looking ready to pass out," said Eddie, surprised. "I guess it wouldn't hurt too much to ask him how he's doing." "And don't call me Petey, Edward. That's Eddie to both of you." "Guys," said Clara sternly, "enough. Remember the plan. You know what to do if he starts going crazy, right?" Eddie and Peter smiled big at Clara as they reached from behind them. Eddie held a baseball bat in one hand, and Peter held up a long metal chain in one hand. With their other hands, they gave Clara the thumbs up. "Excellent," said Clara, relieved.